Level Humanity Podcast, Masters Unplugged. I have Thameema Hamza here. Welcome, Thameema.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. How have you been? It's almost New Year.
Yeah.
Must be busy with the markets and everything.
Still very busy.
Yeah.
But just before we begin, I have to state a disclaimer. Anything I say reflect my views and not that of Iguana Investments. For the full disclaimer, please refer to our website and the notice on www.iguanainvestments.com.
That was great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And the theme of this podcast is seeing through the noise. We're going to talk about markets, mastery, the inner life of an investor. And how about starting with your journey? Your journey led for you to become a short-term, long-term equity analyst. And it's a hard job. And you're also a co-founder. And this path requires both mental precision and emotional resilience. So what early experiences first awakened your fascination about the markets and also decision-making, investment?
Oof. So I think I can only answer this question in hindsight because when I started, I was 18. I knew all the sort of I'd finished uni. I knew all the concepts of sort of accounting and finance, but I really had no idea what I was getting into. And I hadn't even looked at a sort of share price graph before this. But I suppose what attracted me to the industry was the sort of complex nature of markets. And I like problem solving and sort of trying to figure out how things work and, trying to decide if this information is useful or what's not useful to get to the core of what's really driving a company or a share price on the market or the economic cycle.
Yeah. And I think also the pattern there, like understanding the pattern, if there is a pattern, I think that's something that has also a philosophical depth, I guess.
Yes.
Because, I mean, when you think of being an analyst, people think the financial analysis, all of that is, numbers and markets and the, material world. But actually, how I see it is, because I have been an investor for some time now, it also has I think, philosophical side to it. It's like when you understand the markets and, because it's the science of wealth, you kind of understand humanity and the whole pattern, and it's very interesting, right?
Yeah. I mean, pattern recognition is, I think, one of the sort of core skills, and I think it's sort of that it comes a little bit from my upbringing in a way, because I think, looking back now, it was probably a little bit chaotic because we moved around a lot. And I sat down with my dad a couple of months ago and I did the math, and I've lived in about 17 different homes across 5 different countries at this point. So that's about a new house every 2 years or so. And I think because of that, that sort of trained me to always try and look through the chaos and sort of organize myself around like a baseline level of clarity and go from there each time. And this is kind of the way I sort of, end up looking at stocks as well, because there's you kind of have to wade through a lot of information to try and distill all of that to like a core 3 or 4 points. And so now at this point, I'm just hardwired to like organize the chaos and then get through the noise very quickly.
Yeah, so that's where your gift comes from.
Yeah, moving around too much.
Yeah. When you look back at your, childhood, your upbringing or education, what shaped your ability to see these patterns?
The moving around.
The moving around, other than moving around, like personal experiences, maybe some, friendships, being in different places, maybe some social environments. When you go deeper into.
I think definitely the sort of various exposures that have had over time is what sort of pushed me in this direction, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a specific experience, or
no, there wasn't like one thing where Yeah.
It's just all of it.
All of it combined.
Yeah. And in the world of finance, there are a lot of competitive minds, because that's what finance attracts usually. But you seem to approach it with more depth, as I can say, and more curiosity. What originally drove you to investing? Is it ambition? Is it intuition? Or something more personal?
I I think I'll say ambition, definitely. I
Mm,
think I've always been an ambitious person, rightly or wrongly, but not in a sort of I want to be very rich and conquer the world type of
mm,
way, but more in a sort of I want to do something useful with my life and contribute to society in a meaningful way,
mm,
to sort of help humanity.
yeah.
And I guess, working hard and being really curious also sort of helps, but definitely driven by ambition, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a defining moment when you said, I want to master this world and I want to master finances and understand it? And
Not sort of in terms of the industry, but sort of the switch is what was, I think, a defining moment for me. So when I started out as a sell side analyst,
mm-hmm,
which, today is still quite a demanding role. But in that role, what you typically do is you do your research, you write your
mm-hmm,
note, you put together your investment recommendation, and then you send that note out to clients, and they
mm,
get to decide if they want to act on your recommendation. I did that for about 5 years, and then I don't want to say I got bored, but maybe I didn't quite find it that challenging enough.
mm,
And then I realized, okay, I want to be on the other side, the
okay.
buy side, and be taking that risk myself. And then
Okay.
that sort of realization is kind of what planted that seed, drove me to
Yeah.
Cambridge, and I suppose where
Yeah.
I am today.
Yeah. How was your experience in Cambridge?
Oh, it was life changing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cambridge is special. I was
yeah,
there literally last week. And
yeah.
all, and it's just, I mean, Cambridge in general is, it's a beautiful city and
I think it's
environment.
yeah, I think it's amazing because it's still, the university is about 800 years old. A lot of parts of the city and the university is that old, but it combines it with the new, and it is one of the,
Yeah,
fast-paced, like technological hubs in
yeah,
all of Europe, right? And
yeah,
to have that sort
yeah,
of blend in one tiny village almost is pretty
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I find Cambridge really a nice city, and all the uh, this is kind of like my perception, but I think intelligence make people humble.
Yes, definitely.
So intelligence and living a humble life goes together. So I love that humble
Yeah.
attitude
Yeah. And
in Cambridge.
that
That's
describes
just
Cambridge
beautiful.
so well,
Yeah.
like you,
Describe, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because you have like Nobel Prize
Intelligence and
winners.
humble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you
okay.
have like Nobel Prize
Yeah,
winners and everyone, and they'll just be casually walking
yeah.
along the street, and
And just say
riding their
hi,
bike
and
and just, yeah, saying hi
yeah,
to
and you can
everyone, like,
speak to them,
yeah,
and yeah,
very
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The
lovely.
humility is unmatched,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, I agree. So you work on long and short time equity strategies, and they both require conviction and humility, like the Cambridge community. How do you balance deep analytical rigor with instinct and intuition when making calls?
So we have quite a detailed and sort of rigorous investment process
Mm,
that we, adhere to quite religiously. So every stock goes through that process, and at the end of that process, it's subject to sort of a series of tests and questions. And then these questions need to be answered in, either in the affirmative or not. And then that's how we sort of decide what to do with that stock. And this way of sort of questioning it quite carefully is almost like a systematic way, I think,
mm,
of quantifying intuition, where you kind of go through the checks and balances, and then if it passes all of that, then we decide, okay, it goes into the portfolio now, or it's going on the watch list, or it's rejected for some
mhm,
reason or
mhm.
the other. So we do have, I think it comes down to that sort of rigorous investment process.
Okay. And are there any patterns there you have realized, like for personally, on your decisions? Like, have you seen or intuitive uh,
I mean,
decision?
yeah, definitely, because you sort of learn from every sort of investment decision that you make. Like you tend to recognize, I mean, share price patterns are
Yeah,
one
yeah,
thing, right? Like, because you can tell, if it's for example, if it's oversold, maybe there's probably a reason it's oversold, and the temptation is to then just wade in and buy a lot if you really like it. But then, over time you kind of learn, okay, maybe you wait a day or two, see if it bounces, and then you start buying it, because it's especially these markets, it's very sort of, sentiment driven. That's one thing, but there's so many things that you learn, just from sort of being in the markets of, mostly what not to do.
Yeah. And are there any signals to you, like, and what are the signals when you evaluate the short term and the long term?
Well, without giving our entire
of course, but it's
secret sauce. I mean,
sure.
there's not much of a secret sauce, but I mean, at the core of it, we're sort of looking. The type of stories that we're looking for are what we call sort of transformation stories. So this is not sort of a catalyst or an event-driven type of strategy that we run. It's we're looking for really business transformation. So to give you an example, it could be some sort of management change or some kind of, cost restructuring where the company is really going through like an operational sort of turnaround and will now be like a different company than it was before, or some kind of balance sheet transformation. And these are where we think, are the greatest opportunities for mispricing. So that's really what we look for. I mean, there's a whole host of other stuff that we look for, but at the core, that's really what we're trying to find.
Yeah. And as a co-founder, you're both an operator and an investor, so that's a lot of responsibility. How do you maintain clarity and high performance in this role that constantly tests you and test your mental bandwidth? Actually, it's like,
that's a good question. So for me, it's sort of two things, right? It's good sleep, and that's something I'm always sort of chasing, like sleeping really well, and exercise,
resting well, and exercise,
and exercise. And so if for exercise, I do a lot of high intensity interval training. I run and I box. And that sort of makes me really tired, and then I can sleep really well. And I do both of those sort of very religiously, so much so that
tiring the body.
So much so that my friends tease me so much for it, because because sleep is such a priority. It's like I cannot do life after 9 p.m. And I have been this way apparently since I was like 18. I was like, well, it's the way I am wired now.
Yeah, I love it. Me neither. It's like after maybe not 9, but after 10, I'm like gone. It's just if you choose to live a life with high intensity, and it's like it just doesn't work.
You have to. You have to rest.
I think sleep and exercise are my
two as well.
Two have to.
Yeah. I mean, and in terms of emotional bandwidth, I like to think it's not fixed. I think it's like expanding ever so slightly. So it's not. There's always a little bit of room to grow there as well.
Yeah. And the business and the investment world is really interesting, because you probably realize you are a different investor than you were 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
It's like. How do you find that journey? It's like ever growing, and personally ever growing and ever learning journey.
I mean, so it's funny you say that, because I was thinking, like, I used to think, okay, I have one framework for looking at stocks, and I just need to apply that consistently each time and it'll work. But like the markets, is different it's different. The markets today is different from the one it was 5 years ago, let alone the one 10 years ago, which is what I sort of, learned about or grew up sort of, learning all of this theory on. And so you just have to make sure that your mindset, process, way of working sort of, evolves with it. Otherwise you'll get left behind. And I find, I mean, the best sort of corollary that I think, for life, investing, markets, or whatever, is Bayes' probability theorem. I mean, I'm going to misquote this now, but basically what it says is that, you need to always sort of keep updating your initial views and beliefs with like new objective information to get to an improved understanding. And that's a constant process. And I love this because it works with everything in life.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, exactly. And you're on a very different journey, because you chose to build your own investment firm, rather than staying in traditional finance, which you could definitely do. Was there a deeper purpose that guided you on that decision?
Um, well, to be completely honest, it was almost entirely luck and timing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so like I said before, I knew what I wanted to do. It's
Mhm.
that I wanted to switch to the buy side. So it could have taken any way, shape, or form, but I had the good fortune of meeting my current portfolio manager and chief investment officer
Mm.
when we were in Cambridge. So he was on
Mhm.
the same Masters of Finance course as me. And then we sort of spent like the summer of 2019 coming up with sort of new ways of trying to pick stocks. And that
Mm.
is what has now evolved into the quantitative component of our investment process. But I mean, it's funny that you asked the question because so when I, first started, and I sort of decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do now. And then I went back home and I was telling my friends or whoever I was sort of working with before that this is what I was going to do. And one of them said, "Oh, yeah, we always knew you were going to set up a fund." And I thought, well, it would have been nice if you
If you
told
told
me,
me.
because I would have been more prepared for it.
Yeah.
But, and then when she said that, I was like, oh, okay. It was interesting, but no, I had no idea that I was going to do this. So, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, others knew,
Others
huh?
apparently knew.
And I usually find myself asking these questions to female founders and females in the finance industry because finance is still male dominated. And as a woman, it's a different strategy, it's a different game. As a woman building a financial career, investment career, what shifts do you believe are necessary for true equality in this sector?
This is a very tough question to answer because, and I can only speak to the hedge fund
Sure.
industry, but
Hmm.
it's still the problem sort of
I think hedge fund is
remains.
a more male dominated
Yes,
industry.
I mean I know
It's
like
even more male dominated.
I was given the stat like a couple of years ago. It's like only 2.5% of
Yeah.
like investment teams are women. So
I
there's
thought it was 2%. Now you say now it's two. I probably checked it a couple of years
yeah.
ago. Now it's
To
2.5. Wow.
2.5. It's growing, right? It's a
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah.
I think the shifts really need to be on both the supply and demand side.
Mm.
And what do I mean by that, right? So the on the supply side, I think definitely there needs to be more sort of education, encouragement to and sort of how do you say, awareness to attract more women to come into the industry, and so that
Mm.
they're aware of the types of roles that are available to them. And then on the demand side, it needs to come from the sort of PMs, CIOs, investors who need to first
Mhm.
recognize that there's definitely an imbalance here. And
Mhm.
then, at the end of it, it's like diversified teams will definitely help you in generating more alpha. And
Yeah,
that's
for
what we're
sure.
all chasing, right? At the end of
Yeah,
the day.
sure.
And,
Sure.
hedge funds are the ultimate meritocracy. So if you are smart and you are good at what you do, that will be rewarded regardless
Yeah,
of race or gender or anything.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
there's no reason why we shouldn't
Yeah.
have equality.
And do you think women have different gifts in the investment world, like stronger intuitions or
Um,
other abilities than males?
a little bit. I mean, I don't want to sort of diss my male colleagues here, but like, I mean, we're all quite good, but I think just in terms of trying to, definitely in terms of multitasking, and
Mm.
in my role especially multitasking, thinking of different things at sort of the same time.
Yeah.
I think women are better suited to doing that in some
Yeah,
ways.
I think looking at the bigger picture is
Yeah,
our thing.
yeah. And then
Uh,
sort of applying it.
yeah, they're more like men and males can be more focused,
On a
really
specific thing. Yeah,
focused. We're like they're better at focusing,
yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
and we are better at seeing the bigger
Distilling.
picture. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
lovely. How do you hope your work influences younger analysts, especially women who rarely see themselves reflected in leadership roles?
Oof. I mean, I think I still have a very long way to go before I can claim any sort of like leadership credibility.
But
And
you are. I
yeah,
mean, you are a leader
barely. I mean, I'm
yeah,
fortunate to work in the team
yeah,
that I am in, but I
yeah.
just hope that they can see me in this role, and if they want to get into it, they know that this is an option that's available to them
Mm-hmm.
to begin with.
Yeah,
That, you know, like
beautiful.
this is something you can do too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of investment culture do you want to help shaping to shape one, and that goes beyond profit into something really meaningful?
So as a firm, we have committed already to sort of donating about 10% of company net profits to wildlife research and
Mm-hmm.
conservation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that we sort of set out at the outset. You know, it's in our sort of articles of association, and it sort of aligns with our values of wanting to give back to society. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely make money, but also have meaningful
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Let's dive into some philosophical questions about the markets, the mindset, and the inner game. What belief about money, success, or investing have you outgrown along your journey? What, like, when you first started the business, what was your first beliefs and thoughts about money and success, and what are they now?
Um, I don't think they have changed too much, but more sort of maybe it's become sort of more well defined. You
Or
know,
maybe
the
evolved a bit?
yeah,
Yeah.
evolved is the better word. You know, it's not something. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not that I was too tied to sort of tangible, you know, wealth or anything of that sort. But now I know for sure, okay, the sort of tangible wealth is not for me. I'm more sort of,
Mm.
you know, into experiences, trying to optimize on really good sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, physical well-being is more
Mm-hmm.
sort of my thing. I think that sort
Mm-hmm.
of has been more honed in over time.
Okay.
But definitely on investing, you know, like I mentioned, it's like I used to think I have one way of looking at stuff and that will apply across, but no, it has to sort of change with time.
Yeah. Yeah, and you probably because you said sleeping and wellness and being well, you probably are 100% aware that when we are balanced, we make balanced decisions, and when
Yeah.
we are well rested and balanced and grounded, it's, you know, it's not only good for our health but also good for our business.
Yes.
So my question would be, when especially markets turn volatile and everything is upside down and
Which
risks and
happens a lot
stress.
now.
Yeah, of course. So, what internal practices or mindsets help you centered and grounded, other than exercise and sleep routine? Like, they are two very important things. I agree. How do you keep yourself balanced and grounded, especially in times of stress?
um, oof. I think when things get too volatile, I sort of have to, well, we as a fund, we need to sort of remind ourselves why we're here, what we're doing,
Mm,
and the overall mission, right? Like, so we are what you would call an absolute return fund, and the goal is to try and make money across all market cycles, and we serve a specific purpose in a broader portfolio, and that is capital preservation, right?
mm-hmm.
And that is the duty that we owe to our clients.
Sure.
So that is the
Mm-hmm.
overall sort of mission of what we're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
So that keeps, and sticking to that keeps us from straying away from the mandate and trying to do anything fancy, like, you know, trying to beat the
Crazy.
market, or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
ride the AI bubble or time the market. You know, we don't do any of that.
You know,
So just sort of sticking to the core
the
sort of
core.
mission, reminding ourselves that's what we're here to do, nothing else, is, you know,
Yeah.
how we sort of cut through all that
Yeah.
noise and volatility.
Yeah. If you are ready to stop playing small and step into your next level of power, my book, Next Level Woman, is now available on Amazon. Search Next Level Woman on Amazon and begin the identity shift today. And have you ever experienced moments like, I need to really step back?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean that happens.
Every couple of weeks?
Every
Yeah.
couple of weeks, like, you
Okay.
know,
Like,
because
this is too much.
it's, yeah.
I need to step back to
Yeah, but you know,
decide.
but stepping back, you don't have too much time as well to
Sure.
step back,
Yeah.
because then
That's
it
why
changes
yeah.
very quickly, right? So, you know, I need to sort of be like, okay, I need to take a break here, and the break will be going for a run or doing something completely non-market related. Like there's always lots to do, given it's a business that we have to sort of take care of, not just the fund. So maybe I do something like updating the website or something else, like a systems update or something else.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, especially this year with the volatility that we've had, lots of, okay, this is a bit overwhelming at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And what does true value mean for you beyond physical definition?
I think the first thing that I thought of was, doing impactful, meaningful work
Mm-hmm.
is what I think true value comes
Is.
down to,
Mm.
and sort of, contributing to society in some meaningful way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I tend to think in terms of incremental value. So things or experiences can be value additive or detractive, or sometimes even both. But as
Mm.
long as you're sort of optimizing for, overall value creation, I think that
Yeah,
that sort of works.
yeah. And again, a philosophical question, because that's what I've been thinking as from the first day I became an investor, because my background is behavioral health sciences, and the way I view money, society, culture, wealth management is always aligned with human psychology.
Yeah.
And I love the word, Warren Buffett's word, you probably know, before you balance, you can balance your emotions, or you can govern your emotions. You can't govern your money. Don't,
No.
don't start investing.
Yeah.
So if markets are a mirror to human psychology, what do you believe they reveal about who we are collectively right now?
Oof, that's a good question. I mean, markets are very narrative and story driven, like
Mm-hmm.
we are
Yeah.
as humans. So that's one thing, and especially now in these sort of volatile times, I think one of the sort of similarities that I think is, markets also tend to oscillate quite strongly between sort of overconfidence and self doubt, and
Mm.
like we typically do. And you see this so clearly now in sort of share price moves, and you'll have some stocks that gap down or up to 15 to 20% intraday, and that's not something that used to happen before. I mean, of course, it's a function of the of the flows and market participants, but that's something that's quite sort of a stark human
Mm.
sort of trait that you see so clearly reflected in the markets now.
Yeah. And another question, how do you think most like mass number of investors acts in the markets?
I mean, it's right now, it's very sort of herd mentality,
Mm.
that sort of, driving, all the momentum, or that we see in sort of the AI, the theme. But that's sort of always been the case, and that's kind of our job as a real money investor to
To
kind
just
of,
go beyond the
yeah,
noise.
to try and see through that, and that's where the opportunity is
Sure.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. What does being unplugged mean to you? Away from, you said running, you said
Um,
sleeping.
I don't actually know the answer to this question because
You can't. I don't. I don't
no,
unplug.
not that I don't. I would like to find an answer to the question. Maybe you can help me.
Hmm.
But I haven't found a way yet to get my brain to shut up. Let's say,
Okay.
like I could be sitting
Okay.
here and just staring at the wall, and there'll be a whole other,
Yeah.
the story universe that's just happening inside my head. And yeah, I'm, unless I'm physically tired, it and asleep, it doesn't sort of go quiet. So yet to figure this out, but I have found out, like I've discovered that I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to embrace this part of me a little
Yeah.
bit more. The last thing I did was skydiving, which is pretty cool. I'd encourage everyone to do it at least once in their life.
Yeah, my
Um,
husband is such a fan of skydiving.
oh,
He's like
that's
he does.
amazing!
He's done it probably over 20, maybe 25 times, and he's a fan. He's like, wow. I
Yeah.
have I haven't ever tried
You
because
should once.
that's not, it's like, that's not my thing. I would, yeah, that's not my thing. It's just
Yeah.
too much
Too
for me.
much.
Yeah, too
Yeah,
much.
yeah. I get that. I
Yeah.
mean, but yeah, so
Yeah.
this is a new thing that I've discovered, and
Mm.
you know, the me from 5 years ago wouldn't have known that I could be this person, but apparently I am.
Yeah.
But
And it's like, I think it's the price people pay for being intelligent, above the average intelligent, because you know, then you need physical practices and physical something to,
grounding.
because the you
Yeah.
know, you need to do grounding exercises more than other people.
Yeah.
And if we talk about like your principles in life and your truth, which keeps you anchored when everything gets uncertain and fast moving, like what are your inner truth and principles in life that helps you personally in business? Because we have a lot of founders, a lot of investments, you know, generally speaking, high risk taking individuals listening to our podcasts, watching our podcasts. So and I usually talk about like personal principles, because that's also the biggest teaching for everyone.
So, I mean, I have values, I suppose, that I kind
Hmm.
of adhere to, but I mean, Ray Dalio has done the whole principles
Hmm.
thing, you know,
Hmm.
to I think the most comprehensive set that you can find. But I think the way I sort of think about uncertainty, at least rather, is I read this thing where it said like uncertainty is the baseline of the reality that we live in,
Hmm.
and you know, you can't sort of fight it or try to control it, because otherwise that will just be super paralyzing for
Yeah.
you, right? So the way I think about it is, or the way I go about it is, I will always do a little bit more than the absolute best that I can do. And
Mm.
maybe doing that little bit more is a bit painful and it hurts a little bit and takes too much
Hmm.
effort. But once I've done that, I then try to sort of, you know, move forward without fixating on the outcome. And then sort
Mm.
of doing that over and over again, or it's sort of trying to practice that, you kind of learn to live with the uncertainty. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what, you know, I've
Being
sort of,
okay with
yeah,
uncertainty,
yeah,
being in that like
yeah, just sort of training
vibing
yourself. Yeah,
with
vibing.
uncertainty,
That's
vibing
the
with
word.
vibing
Vibing
with
with the
uncertainty.
uncertainty.
Yeah, I love it. That's our message today.
Vibing with the
Vibe with the uncertainty. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely connect with that. I had a very interesting experience during one of my meditations in my first vipassanas.
Okay.
I do regular vipassanas and I also teach in vipassanas, but this was my first mine. I remember I was so cold during the meditation. I was shivering and I was, yeah, trembling. It was so cold and it was windy. And I remember, because I was in deep meditation, and I remember um, the concept of cold speaking with me, literally. But of course, it's not speaking with me, but it's like,
Yeah.
just connecting with that cold. And I remember the concept of cold saying, like, don't resist. If you allow the coldness, the breeze, to become you, it's kind of like if you let the breeze in you and you become one with the breeze, you won't
Feel
tremble,
that. Yeah.
you won't shiver, and you won't be trembling.
Yeah.
And it literally happened. It's kind of like resistance makes everything hard.
Exactly.
But when you allow that, it's like when you become
Yeah. Yeah.
uncertainty, when you
Yeah.
vibe with uncertainty,
Yeah.
that's kind of like, it just, yeah, it just
That's
become,
okay.
you manage it. It's kind
Exactly.
of like surfing,
Yeah. Go with the flow,
in the
right?
waves. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. I think that's a
That's the
great
message.
message. Yeah. So, what are you currently unlearning about identity, ambition? We talked about, and what it means to succeed, and what does success mean for you now?
I think unlearning. Oof. So I think previously my entire identity was centered on intelligence,
Hmm.
and so I'm an absolute nerd. So I, you know, finished at the top of my class high school, uni, undergrad, undergrad, postgrad.
I can tell because I love nerds. I love nerds. I love intelligent people. So
It used to
I'm
be
like,
not
she's my guy.
yeah.
She's my girl.
It,
Yeah.
it didn't used to be a good trait, growing up. But anyway, so yeah, it was always sort of distinction or nothing for me, and I always used to think, as long as the world thought I was really smart, nothing else mattered. But having sort of met lots of smart people, because the industry is filled with really smart people along the way, and now you have intelligence on tap, right? Artificial intelligence at your fingertips. I've come to realize that intelligence is not really it. It's sort of for me at least, agency is more important, and maybe neuroplasticity, the ability to sort of adapt and improve, because there's no point being that clever if you don't really have the determination or accountability to do something with it. So yeah, definitely, because that was a huge part of who I was, who I am. I mean, still is, but it's just the level of significance that I used to place on it is much lower.
It's also all about how you execute it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And finally, if you could offer one message to a young woman dreaming of entering the world of finance but doubting her place, what would you tell her?
I mean, if she really wants to enter this world, then I think she needs to be dangerously disciplined and consistent, and be impossible to sort of discourage, because this doubt will appear from sort of all around her and from everywhere. And there's this sort of misconception that to enter this industry, because of how male dominated it is, you have to be a little bit more masculine to sort of get in and to fit in. But that's not true at all. I mean, I think of two of my sort of closest friends, right? So one of them's like the director of operations at a central bank, and another one's the head of a trading desk at Goldman Sachs in London. Both very sort of intense, high stakes roles, and they're both absolute powerhouses. But at the end of the day, we're still sort of women who like jewelry and flowers. We can be both. So this there's the saying, which is what perception is reality, right? But like, don't let the industry's perception be your reality. Just break that sort of fourth wall. If this is what you want, stick to your goals and go for it.
Lovely. And I love the word dangerously disciplined, and that's kind of like how you succeed in this life, or how you, I mean, success is different for everyone, but how I describe success is having the capability and the determination to reach your goals and make your dreams possible. So it's like, if you can set goals, if you have objectives and you can make them happen, then it's success for you, whatever the goal is.
Exactly.
But that's
you need to be able to sort of keep pursuing it and be accountable and determined while you sort of.
So I love the word dangerously disciplined, because that's what it takes. Thank you, Thameema. It was lovely. I didn't realize how the one we spent 1 hour just
it went by so quickly.
It went so quickly, right? Amazing. Well, thank you. I enjoyed. It was like 5 minutes.
Useful.
I enjoyed every moment, and I learned a lot. And thank you for your time.
And thank you for your questions. Very
here.
Insightful questions, and made me think about things that I haven't thought of in a very long time.
Lovely. And I know our listeners and anybody who's watching us on YouTube loved the episode. They have learned as much as I did, and they have enjoyed as much as I did. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to my podcast and watching our YouTube videos. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you, Thameema, again.
Thank you as well.